Just making sure that it is. Nobody knew what it was. They called it a wasting illness, the wasting illness, also known as the White Plague. Then after that, you probably may have heard of consumption. And now we believe that it was probably tuberculosis. We're not 100% sure. She kind of slowly wasted away, basically turned into looked like a vampire, and then died. And they buried her less than a year later, January 1791. Captain Burton marries her younger stepsister, Huldah. Not too bad for him, huh? And they live pretty happily until she gets sick with this mysterious wasting illness. Mysterious illness. And at this point, in 1793, September to be exact, she passes away. Their elderly aunt, Huldah's elderly aunt, had this crazy notion. She said that Rachel's last words were, "I will never leave you." So Huldah's aunt said, I guess it must be that she's turned into a vampire, and she has now decided to, I don't know, kill off her stepsister. Who knows what her motive was, but it was the elderly aunt that proposed the idea. And so what they decided to do was, in the winter of, this is kind of crazy, they went out in the winter and they dug up Rachel Harris, her grave. They dug her up and they removed her organs. And when they saw her heart, it was engorged with blood, even though she'd been in the ground for approximately 3 years now. She was also in a remarkable state of preservation. So people got pretty freaked out. I mean, I'd be freaked out, especially if in 1790s. It's really cold. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, it's really cold. And there's a lot of traffic right now. Right behind me, that's the Equinox. Right there is the Equinox. It's a beautiful resort. Now behind me is the Manchester's clerk's office. This office right here, Manchester clerk's office, that was Rachel and Huldah Powell's father, a guy by the name of, don't come to me, Martin Powell, that's it. And right next to this clerk's office, where I'm standing, and there's a parking lot. See this parking lot right here? This parking lot was a blacksmith shop. And behind this parking lot was an old, they called it the old burial grounds. That's what they called it, the old burial grounds. They had to move it. And when they expanded the road and decided to build the courthouse, I think in around 1821, at that point they noticed that it was really stocking up. This is the oldest graveyard that they had, the old burial grounds, and it was just getting packed full of bodies. And this was expanding out right over here. This was all expanding, and we have they're running out of room, just to be perfectly frank. So they decided to start excavating as many of them as they could and bring them over to Factory Point Cemetery, which last year on Halloween, we went and stood at the grave of Rachel Harris. This year, I decided not to go there because it's really the grave of her incinerated remains. Because where I'm standing right now, this is the grave of the first vampire in recorded history in the state of Vermont. Right now, in this parking lot, right down there would have been where the blacksmith's forge is. And what happened? Well, they took her organs, that stuff that looked in pretty much pristine condition, and they threw it in the blacksmith's forge. They incinerated it, and then they mixed it into some kind of tonic, and they figured it might help, cure Huldah, but she died. She died, unfortunately, 6 months after that. Now, behind me, I want to just show you this is a parking lot. You've already gotten a look of it. Behind me, you can see there's some like buildings and stuff. I think that's Range Rovers. They have a course, an off-door course out here, out like some kind of off-roading thing. But witnesses say up to 1,000 people gathered here somehow. So up to 1,000 people came to see this. I know I would not miss this. There is no way I would miss this. I would be here, especially in 1790s. Are you kidding me? They're going to burn, you know, the internal organs of some potential vampire. Vampire epidemic, consumption, tuberculosis, the White Plague, without sounding racial. They called it a White Plague because the person would get, you know, pretty pale, although their face would flush a little, and they'd be in a remarkable state of preservation. So here we are. I guess I'm thinking right here about where I am right now. So I guess I would be standing probably around exactly where the blacksmith's forge was. Jacob Mead was his name, Jacob Mead. He had a blacksmith's forge, and it's probably exactly where I'm standing right now. See that? There's my feet. Yeah, I have a feeling it's exactly where I'm standing right now. So we could be standing exactly where they incinerated, well, where they dug her up in the first place, because she was buried here, then where they took out her internal organs and then burned it right in the forge. I mean, it's weird. I'm standing right here where this happened. That's pretty cool, right? That's pretty nice. I mean, in a morbid, sick way, not nice, you know. And so this entire area, this whole parking lot that you can see would have been the old burial grounds. And I'm going to tell you something really weird. Behind me, as you can see, that's the yellow building. That's the courthouse. And these are some other buildings here. This was all part of the old burial grounds as well. Now, when they expanded the road and they started building these buildings, they found, you know, some skeletons and whatnot. That's why I was winking before. And when they expanded the road again, you know, now fast forward to modern times, they found a couple more skeletons. So there is some, you know, some people believe that, I'm trying to say they didn't get all the bodies out of here and they only took, you know, the headstones. Your classic I think that's literally the Poltergeist. That's the whole Poltergeist movie. But here we are. This is it. This is Jacob Mead's forge. This is where Rachel Harris, the first vampire in Vermont's history, would have been buried. And this is where she was exhumed. They took her remains to Jacob's forge, which just happened to be right adjacent to this place, which is actually pretty convenient, huh? They got a disposal place right there. And they got 1,000 people to show up. We did a video on this a long time ago, okay? It was not a live stream or anything like that. And I'll just say, so I was at the time looking, well, they said 1,000 people, okay. Was that an exaggeration? Is that just something they said over time? Was there even 1,000 people living in Manchester in 1793? Well, I will just say, from my research, it is plausible. It is possible. They said there could be anywhere between, they said like 500 and 1,500 is what I know it's a big range, but that's what I'm getting. Now, incidentally enough, as a big fan of Vermont, Revolutionary War history, Ethan Allen spent a lot of time here. You know, right behind me, the Equinox. That was originally Marsh's Tavern, and that was here forever. And Ethan Allen spent a lot of time there. The Green Mountain Boys, before they went to Fort Ticonderoga in May of 1775. They spent a lot of time here gathering troops, as well as troops in Dorset, which we did a video there as well once. I'll show you over here. Behind me, there's some more grassy area. That was likely also part of the burial grounds. In fact, I'm going to walk backwards and hope I don't get killed. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I can't. Sorry, I can't do that. this would likely have been part of the burial grounds too. I'm really curious, like how many are still under here, right? Now keep in mind, this was I think they called it a glebland. It was a section of land that Benning Wentworth had originally well, let me back it up. In Amenia, New York, there were a bunch of proprietors, and they purchased all these tracts of land here in the New Hampshire grants from Benning Wentworth, the governor of New Hampshire. And I believe they made Manchester 70 100-acre lots. And there was a small section reserved specifically for burial. And that would have been the old burial grounds where we just walked from, and behind me, ba-boom. So this has been here for like a really long time, and they moved all of these bodies out, or a lot of them, or none of them. I don't know. Well, we do know they moved some, right? The ones they found when they expanded the road. Those, they definitely moved those. You can't say they didn't move the ones that were, unless they, I don't know, kicked it down a gutter or something. There are no gutters here. So that's out. That's out. So this is the, I'm gonna take us around. It's really cold, okay? It's cold. Yeah, right here. This is it. This is the square right here. Okay, maybe 1,000 people. I'll leave it to you to judge. Tell me right here. I'm gonna turn around. See behind me? This is the square. That's the equinox. Beautiful equinox. This is a nice hot spot for Robert Todd Lincoln, who lived in this town. It's actually my neighbor, his house. Oh my God, there's somebody coming out of the courthouse. That's pretty cool. Huh? What's that about? Seriously. That's a little scary. Maybe she's colonial. Is she a colonial ghost? No. I think she's wearing Patagonia. They didn't wear that back then. I'm pretty sure. Can't be sure though, 100%. Right there, we've got the courthouse. Look at the gold cupola. Gorgeous gold cupola up there. Gorgeous. I love it. I love it. Do we think that 1,000 people can gather in this square? I'm gonna go up here. How about this behind me? Do you see this square? Yeah, I think 1,000 people could be here in a second. Yeah, I could get 1,000 people packed into here in a second. Definitely. Oh, you wanna go? I'm gonna go near these people here. I know it's gonna be kind of weird. Although, you know what? I'm a weird guy. How you doing? Okay, hey, we got a Revolutionary War sign here. Let's see what it said. Ethan Allen crossed Lake Champlain to capture Fort Ticonderoga, May 1775. I was right. You can see it for yourself. I'm 100% correct on that. I guess that means I've studied this sign very well. No, I've actually never even seen this sign. I'm gonna have to read it later because it's hard to hold this thing. My hands are literally frozen. My fingers, I think I may have lost. They may have to amputate my index finger. See this right here? This is the old Congregational Church. I just find it really interesting because remember, Captain Burton, the guy whose first wife was the vampire, Rachel Harris, he was a reverend at the Congregational Church. You want to hear something else about him? So get this. So his first wife was Rachel. She was 21. She dies. He marries her younger stepsister, Huldah. She dies. He marries again to a 15-year-old. Then she dies. I'm not kidding. She dies as well. And although after her, he moves on to marry a fourth wife. I'm not even joking. Yeah, I don't think she was 15. Actually, the fourth wife was around 40. But then he predeceased her. He went into the ground before her. I guess she caught on to him, you know? Maybe he was the vampire. Did anybody consider that? Captain Burton was a vampire. In fact, he's buried in a different cemetery. A cemetery down there called Or is it there? No, yeah, down there called Delwood. We did a video there. I went and visited his grave. He's buried next to his fourth wife. Why not Rachel? She's in the cemetery over there. That's Factory Point. Isn't that interesting? He's not buried in the same, he's buried with his fourth wife. Hey, listen, till death do you part, right? And then he moved on to the next one. And then the next one after that. And then the next one after that, because that would have been 4. Yeah. So this right here, burial grounds. Burial grounds. Though it doesn't look like burial grounds. I mean, it's grass, right? I'm not going to walk on it. Or actually, I'm going to walk on it. That's fine. Okay, that's great. Anybody seeing any colonial ghosts, by the way? Behind me is now I think it's a nondescript colonial soldier, okay? But it really should be a statue of Seth Warner, although his statue is by the Bennington Monument. There's a giant obelisk there to commemorate the Battle of Bennington, although the Battle of Bennington didn't actually happen in Bennington. It happened in Hoosick, New York. Go figure, right? So I'm gonna do, since my hands are cold. I'm not even kidding. I can't even feel this thing anymore. This is insanity. Where the hell am I? Am I in the Arctic? No feeling left. Hey, damn, I'm good. I said 1821. What does that sign say behind me? 1822. That's good. That means they finished building it in 1822. But it was 1821 that they started it. I bet. Huh? Look at that. Oh my God, I can't feel I'm dying. What else can I tell you before we end our thing? I'm not gonna we're not going to Factory Point. We did that last Halloween. The Halloween before that, we went to Captain Burton's grave, where he's next to his fourth wife. God rest them both. I'm curious, guys. There's one thing I want to know. Give me your thoughts. Why is he buried next to his fourth wife instead of Rachel Harris, his first wife, the vampire? Did somebody make the decision? Was it like, okay, listen, we can't put him next to her because she's a vampire, and he's a respected captain, and he was also a moneylender, believe it or not. He was a big muckety-muck in town, okay? This guy. So I should probably leave you with one thing. You might be wondering where this whole story comes from. Like, is it just made up? How do we even know this, right? Well, that's actually a pretty convoluted and weird story. It only really, I'm going to just cut to the chase. It only really came to light, the original, or the OG of this story only came to light in the early, I'd say in the 1940s, I think it was. And they found a guy, Judge John S. Pettibone. Now, he would have been 7 years old at the time that this occurred. He lived in Manchester. I should probably go visit his house, but somebody's living in it, and that would be really weird. Anyway, this guy, Judge John S. Pettibone. Now, he's not a nut job. I got to put it out there. This guy's not a nut job. He was a lawyer. I mean, that doesn't say much, but he's a lawyer. He was a judge. He served a probate judge, to be exact. He served political office as well. I know this is, the more I say, it's not sounding like, but he was a very smart guy, and he was also known as a historian. And he took the time to write down some stuff that he thought would get lost to time and not be recorded, because he believed that it's just so fantastical that that it wouldn't be included in the history books. And you know what? Listen, the proof is in the pudding. It wasn't, right? Except for in this memoir that he wrote, which is now, I believe, in the Vermont archives located in Barry, Vermont. Somebody could check that out. I'm pretty sure that's true. The original copy of his manuscript was sent there. So he wrote a lot. He wrote about what he learned, and that is that a whole bunch of people came over here, 1,000 people, to witness the burning of Rachel Harris's organs, because they thought that if they were to mix it with some kind of tonic, that it would cure Hulda, but it didn't work. And then she died. She died in September. And they dug. What did it taste like, right? I mean, that's what I want to know. What did it taste like? I suppose it depends on what you mix it with, right? If they were mixed. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Mixing it with grain alcohol, it probably would, you might be able to get through it a little bit better. It may have actually have been healthier for them to do it. Maybe it would have killed whatever disgusting bacteria is in it. We're going to finish this off. As you can see where I'm going, we're in the parking lot. Okay, this is where we are. We're in the parking lot, and I just want to go back to where I believe Jacob Mead's forge is. Okay, right from my research, it would have been right over here. That's where we're going to end it. Now, where is her grave? Where would her grave have been? We don't know this. We don't know. I have done an enormous amount of research to try to determine where that is, but there's no way to tell where it was. Those records have been lost, and they added so many people over time. This place got packed. They were doing bodies on top of bodies. That information is just, it's unavailable. You're not going to be able to get it no matter how much you look, and I've looked. I'm looking at those hills right there. I mean, you know that if you dig that up, there's going to be something. It's not going to be good. And they built a parking lot over it. I guess that's good. It means nobody can, they're in there for good, right? There's going to be no problem with them. Oh my God, I think I'm out of breath and I'm frozen. So listen, everybody, thank you for joining me for Halloween in Manchester, Vermont. Okay, and we are at the real grave, as opposed to the one that is the historical marker that just contains her ashes, or it may not contain anything at all. We're at the real grave. Now, I wanted to see what are people saying here. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's freezing. It is so cold here. I think it may snow. God. But it is really beautiful here. I don't know if you could see this behind here, but do you see behind that big mountain and there's like clouds up there? And that's behind the equinox. That's Mount Equinox. And it's called Mount Equinox because I believe a surveyor went to the top of it and it was named for the autumnal equinox. They decided to do that. I don't know, it's kind of weird. I guess to signify the day they went up there to survey it. Listen, it could be worse. There's a mountain, I'm not even joking, there's a mountain in Dorset called Areolis, or Aeolus, yeah. That I don't know if I'd want that one as my mountain name. But I'm gonna leave you with right here. We're gonna end it right in front of the courthouse. I'm not gonna lie, this is actually interesting. I met with the clerk, the town clerk, great guy. And I'm sorry, not the town clerk was a female, but I was actually thinking of the tax dude, the town tax man. I met with him, what a gentleman he is. He's an attorney like myself, and he's out here. He took me on a tour of this building here, this courthouse, and I think they say it's haunted. Although I feel like everybody says it's haunted. If it's a colonial building, they're going to say it's haunted. Now, he also took me into the basement. No, it's not going to get into. It's not that kind of story. He took me into the basement oh, is that fire behind me? Yeah, they got fire going. Anyway, he took me into the basement of this courthouse, or building next to it, and there are old prison cells. I mean, really old prison cells. They store files there now, but it was really cool to see it. To be able to get to see that for myself, it was really fascinating. I actually went into one of them, just to see what it would be like. Oh yeah, you see those beautiful fires they got going there? It's really interesting. The Lincolns, this was their place, Manchester, the Equinox in particular. They loved the Equinox. And then President Lincoln's son, Robert Todd Lincoln, built his house, the Robert Todd Lincoln Estate here. Probably hung out around here a lot. But this was originally Marsh's Tavern. Now I want to point out one other funny thing about this. Manchester wasn't always as beautiful It used to be referred to as a loose town. In 1789, a guy by the name of Nathan Perkins, Reverend from Connecticut, he had a dream. It struck him like an epiphany that he needed to get up, tell his family, I'm going on a trip to a tour of New England because God has told me I need to spread the word of God. So you guys here, just try to fend for yourselves and I'll be back. And then he went and visited all these places and he came here and stayed here in 1789. And he was really disgusted with this town, big time. He called it a loose town because people were drunk as a skunk. This town was a big drinking town in the 1700s, and gambling and a lot of prostitution and that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of the flavor of what the town was like. I don't know if that adds any context to what happened here. I think it's interesting that the elderly aunt came up with that idea that because the first wife said, I will never leave you, that she was coming back. I don't know how they made that leap to vampire other than, well, listen, here's a question. I think they dug her up 3 years later and her heart had blood in it. Have we forgotten that? I think that's a piece of the puzzle. Now, we could discount that, say they were probably embellishing it, right? They lied. I mean, they also said that when they burned the heart in the forge, we were just there, they heard demonic screams coming from the furnace. So they could have been lying about that too. Maybe it was just a big exaggeration. Except Judge John S. Pettibone was not the type of guy to lie or exaggerate. In fact, quite the opposite. That's why, the provenance of the story, when you really find the origin of it, and he was 7 years old at the time. So it just really makes me think that it just adds another dimension to this. He wrote it down. It's not it got changed in oral tradition. The dude wrote it down, okay? And he said, all of the stuff that I went through, I guess it's up to you to decide. Was it tuberculosis? We don't know what it is. We're only guessing. I don't know what it is, but I'll tell you one thing. If I'm opening up a grave and I see somebody not decayed after 3 years and their heart has blood on it, yeah, I probably would take it to a forge, burn it, and drink it. If somebody told me it would do something, I don't know. What would you do? What would you do? Huh? I don't know. First off, it would take a lot to get me to dig up a human grave. But I suppose if everybody in town said we needed to do this, and it was truly life or death, I would do it. If we had to do it, we would do it. But upon digging up this grave, you see that it is not decomposed and there's blood. She's been in the ground for 3 years. This is strange. This is very strange. I think I'd freak out. What is that? What about when you got... I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. The provenance of the story, Judge Pettibone. Okay, so did he lie? Well, he was 7 years old. Do we have memories from when we're 7? I can surely remember things from when I'm 7. I think that he would have taken the time to vet the story. He's not he had a very stellar reputation. I don't think he would have written it down if it was nonsense. So at least he was convinced of its veracity enough to write it down. So he was convinced it was true. I don't know. It's Halloween. We're at the legitimate site of the vampire, not the fake site by the historical sign, and I don't see any vampires. Do you? It would be really cool if somebody said they saw a weird colonial ghost when this thing goes to video later. That would be really cool. So everybody look at it, play it back, tell me if you see like a colonial ghost, maybe looking out the window of that. You know what I'll do? I'll go by one of these windows of this thing, okay? And you're gonna look in there and tell me if you see like a colonial ghost, because that'll make my day. That's it. That'll really make my day. I don't think it's gonna happen. And we're not being disrespectful. If anything, I'm being very respectful. I'm gonna turn around right here. You look through those windows, probably see somebody taking a shower. No, I doubt that. I think it's a commercial building. Don't worry. We're not voyeurists here. See that gold cupola? That's that courthouse where I was imprisoned, right? I can literally say I was imprisoned in the basement of that courthouse. And it was hell. Heck, it was heck. Hey, what about this right here? You see this? We got a circular pattern of rocks. I wonder if maybe this is a marker of some kind. Yeah, it's probably like an electricity marker. Nothing like that. Anyway, listen, everybody, thank you very much for joining me for Halloween in Manchester, Vermont. I hope you enjoyed seeing this. It's better than seeing the tombstone. The tombstone of what? It's a tombstone that says Rachel Harris. I want the real thing. That's why we're here. We're here freezing in this parking lot, looking like a weirdo so that we could get this done. Anyway, I'm freezing. I can't stand out here any longer. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'll see you all soon, okay? Bye-bye.